Okay, in this video, I'm going to go over a LinkedIn article that I posted the other day, essentially just answering the question of how do you actually connect Odoo to a business intelligence tool such as Power BI or Tableau. Now, on the surface, this may sound like an easy question to answer, which it is, but you will find different information based on the different sources or whatever you're using. So I thought I'd just do this quick video. That way you've got a single source of truth and you never have to do the researching yourself. Okay, so first up, how you actually connect to the data is going to be purely dependent on your Odoo hosting type. So if you're using Odoo SH and you're on a dedicated server, which is about 10 times more expensive than a shared server, that means that you're going to be able to access your database directly. So all you have to do, go into Odoo SH, run this command with your details, and it'll spit out your database credentials. You then can just head over to Power BI Desktop, click the Postgres SQL connector, enter those credentials, and then it will show you all of the tables in your Odoo database. You can also then either extract the tables individually, or you can use SQL queries, and you'll also even be able to use direct query, which means that you can pull in real-time data. The only thing to note with this is you just want to make sure that you don't give anyone else who doesn't need it access to your database, obviously because they can do some seriously bad things with that. So make sure you keep it secure. I recommend always using SSL when connecting to make sure that it's encrypted. Also, one thing that you can do is you can set up IP whitelisting. So say if you've got a business analyst who works for you and they work remotely, you can whitelist their IP. That way, if anyone from a random IP tries to connect, it will deny them. Next up, if you're on an Odoo SH shared instance. Now, this is a little less ideal, but still possible and still very usable. So with this option, you're either going to have to use Odoo's REST API or buy a custom connector. So with the API, it tends to be free. What I recommend is using an open source connector that I'll leave in the description. All you have to do, go in to GitHub link, download, save it into your custom connectors folder in Power BI, and then you can query it directly. Only thing to note, you will need some technical knowledge with that because it uses the language of search_read. You can find all of that online, but you'll need to pair that with a bit of Odoo database, the Odoo database structure to get that working. But that is a free option and definitely a good one if you're on a budget. Next up, you can use a custom connector. So what I've used in the past is from a company called Techneath. They have a basic connector, which is about 800 USD, and then an advanced connector, which is about 2000 USD. With the basic connector, it just gives you access to the tables individually, which does mean you're going to have to pull them in, link all of them via relationships in Power Query, which does slow down your reports because you're not able to apply any filtering at the actual source, which means every time you do a refresh on your report, you're pulling in all of the data. So you can imagine there's a lot of data flowing through those reports, which isn't entirely ideal. But once again, if you're on a bit of a budget, this is a great option. It's also a good way to learn the database structure because you're going to have to pull them all in individually and do all of your joins via relationships. So it's a great way to learn. Now, the advanced connector that they offer, that does have SQL queries. So rather than pulling all of the data in, you can apply some filters, the joins and all that. That way your reports are more optimized and a lot more efficient. That's why it's a little bit more expensive. What we do with our clients, we do have a connector that we've developed. We don't sell that or anything. We just use it purely to connect easier, build the reports, deliver them. And that's the way that we go about it. Okay, next up, on-prem. So if you're hosting your own Odoo server, that means that you can connect directly to that. That's easy enough. So that's exactly the same as what I mentioned with the dedicated server. So that's an ideal scenario. Next up, Odoo Online. So if that's actually hosted by Odoo, which once again means that there's no direct database access. So you're either going to have to use the API solution or the custom connector. Okay, now what is the best approach? So obviously this is going to be purely dependent on your situation. If you do have direct database access, so you're either on a dedicated server or you're hosting your own server on-prem, then definitely go down that route. It's just a lot easier because you get access to SQL queries, real-time data. It also gives you a lot more flexibility with the whole Fabric ecosystem because you can set up data flows, scheduled refresh, incremental refresh. So say if I have a sales table, rather than every time I refresh that sales table, it's pulling in all the information. Incremental refresh just means it's only pulling in the new records. So you can set that up as well if you have direct database access. So that's just another plus. But the other options like API and custom connectors are also perfectly fine. So no worries at all if that's your only option. The only thing I'd add with the direct database connection is that if you do get a little bit carried away with all your reporting and you build lots of different reports, you can add a little bit of strain on the live database, on the performance of it, just because you're pulling in so much data every day. Now, one way that we kind of go about solving that is by creating a replica of the Odoo database every 24 hours, and then we send that replica over to a separate database. That way, for all our BI reporting, we can just point to the replica database and not our live database, so it doesn't impact performance at all. You're probably not going to end up having that problem because there does have to be a lot of data flowing through it to actually have any impact. So I wouldn't worry about it, but that's just another thing to note. Last but not least, what BI tool should you pick? Now, obviously, I'm going to recommend Power BI because that's our bread and butter. But it actually is just so much easier across the board. It's way more user-friendly. All the visuals are great. You can upload to Power BI service. All the features with being able to share your reports via a PDF, embed them in PowerPoints, send them in Teams messages, set up alerts. I could go on for days, but it is just a lot better. So I would definitely recommend using Power BI. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up this article. If you want to read any of the articles that I've posted, you can just go over to my LinkedIn. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm going to start doing a weekly newsletter where I do posts like this. So you can go and find that on there. I will leave the link to the custom connectors in the description below as well. If you have any questions or you need me to clarify anything, just put your question down in the comments and I'll answer it. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers it, and I will see you in the next one.